Guten Tag! Heute bringen wir euch einen Audi Q3 Betrag. And the reason I speak in German is because of this. For years now, Audi has been making finely crafted cars, always believing that engineering is the only truth. This little piece of beauty then is Audi's smallest SUV, the Q3. They call it small, but compared to its competition, it's the biggest SUV in its segment. There's this thing about premium cars that makes it very simple. If it's gonna cost half the price of your house, well then it's gonna be a bloody good car. And then after that, it doesn't really matter. You can't really go a whole lot wrong with your decision. And along with the car, you also get the tag of being the member of an affluent society. With that come the affluent society diseases, and one such disease is your want to get that speed fix time and again. The Q then is your best dealer for such an addiction. Q3 gets to warp speeds with its mighty powerful thrusts of torque at as low as 1750 RPM. And born in its 2-liter engine, 170 horses in the diesel and 210 in the petrol see you galloping ahead with urgency. It's got interiors that you will sell your kidney for, and on the street it looks nothing short of an intimidating living beast. Now, an enthusiast would say that he can hear this beast breathe, but in reality, well, he's hearing his own breath. That's how silent the cabin is. In fact, if you're honking and playing some music at the same time, chances are that you won't really hear your own honking either. And if I step out and someone sitting in here, it's almost like Now the Q3 keeps it very simple. There are just two engine options, the petrol and the diesel. Both are 2-liter engines and both are mated to a 7-speed automatic dual-clutch S-tronic gearbox, and both go like rockets. Now that's like Audi telling you that these are all the two cars that you need, and indeed these two cars are the most powerful ones in its segment. The only thing that this car perhaps falls short on is that it's not exceptionally spacious, but then for that the interiors are rich, they are luxurious and very cozy. It's so much fun flooring the pedals in these cars that if society had permitted marriage with a car, then I would have probably ended up marrying this car in my teenage years. And then of course it's an Audi, which is one of the 3 largest luxury brand automakers in the world. So it's got all the safety features. There are airbags, ABS, EBD, but more importantly it's also got the Quattro technology. Now that's Audi's 4-wheel drive system, which basically modulates the amount of power that it sends into individual wheels. In a sense, then this car in a straight line behaves like a front-wheel drive car, which is good because that brings in efficiency. But should you be in a corner or in gravel or dirt or wet, and should there be a need for more traction, well then the system engages itself and distributes power accordingly so that you have maximum possible traction to every wheel. Lucky for me, the roads are wet today, monsoon madness it is, so it's perhaps time to just try out what the Quattro technology can do. Tires screech, the car just holds on and on. There you go. Wow. Wow. It just holds, right? This car can hold, man. Look at that. Look at that. I'm throttling in a corner. I'm gunning it mid-corner and this just takes it. Okay, once again, this one should be good. No oncoming traffic. The Q3 doesn't get the BMW's run-flat tires, which is, if you ask me, not really a bad thing. What it on the other hand gets is a spare space saver. And both the petrol and the diesel versions get a 460 liters of boot space, and if you fancy it, fold the rear seats, turn it into 1,365 liters. But why are we talking about the boot space in an Audi? I mean, who cares about boot space in an Audi? There is no armrest for the back seats, but then the seat comfort at the front and at the back is better than the best of your Stanley sofas. And should you be chauffeured around by a very spirited driver, well then the McPherson struts at the front and the multi-link suspension at the back, complemented by Audi's Quattro 4-wheel drive system, make sure that the chassis rolls well in check, well leading to every road being a brisk walk in a park.
Most Audis in India have electronically adjustable damping systems for their suspension. But that's not the case with the Q3. It has regular springs and dampers that are tuned for a good mix of ride and handling. Also out on the highway, it feels really stable. It feels planted even at high speeds. Crosswinds don't bother that much. Just like all the other S-tronic gearboxes from Audi, you do have a normal drive mode that keeps the gearbox in the highest gear possible for best fuel efficiency, and a sport mode which holds onto the gear right up to the red line. We can also change gears manually by tipping the gear shift left. However, Audi has not seen fit to give us paddles behind the wheel, which is a shame because this is a really nice car to be driving fast and you don't want to be getting a hand of the steering wheel and tipping the gear lever back and forth every now and again. So coming back to the suspension, all the occupants in the cabin will not be very pleased with the ride of this car. You see, the suspension has to be a little stiff because when you have an engine with so much power, over 200 horses in this case, and a capability of going over 200 kilometers an hour as well, you can't afford to have soft suspension because at those speeds, the car will feel very, very unstable. You'll just not get any driver confidence.
Now the sound system sounds pretty good, and the bulging dashboard integrates a pop-up video screen display that gives you a whole lot of information but also doubles up as a navigational screen. And then there's a stylized panoramic roof out here. And the sound system, well, it does sound good, but then maybe considered as a bit of an old school system as it doesn't really have any aux-in or iPod connectivity. But what you do get is 2 SD card slots and a Bluetooth.
I can see clearly now. The Q3 retails between 30 and 35 lakh rupees ex-showroom. Now that might seem a little expensive considering you don't get true SUV space or true SUV capabilities. But if you look at the competition, there's a Mercedes A-Class, which is just a hatchback, so you don't get the same amount of boot space. You have the X1, which doesn't look like an SUV and neither does it offer 4-wheel drive. Even if you look at the outsider, the Volvo V40, it doesn't really offer the SUV bit.
Exactly, Charles. And this car, well, it looks the part. I mean, this SUV, if you look at it, it looks like it's forged from a single block. And it's not your typical boxy 4x4 like SUV. It looks immensely good. And with the Audi LED lamps, it almost looks like a nightclub that you instantly want to enter into. So if you're in search of a stepping stone towards owning a premium brand SUV, well then you gotta ask yourself a question. Kyun nahi? Auf Wiedersehen.